People walked in and out of the restaurant as if it were any other busy afternoon, but no one noticed the quiet man who stepped inside wearing simple clothes, a modest jacket, and the kind of calm expression that blends into a crowd. He didn't demand attention. He didn't look like someone who held power. He didn't even behave like someone used to being served. And that was exactly why the waiter misjudged him. The man walked with a slight tiredness, the kind that comes from long flights, back-to-back meetings, and the weight of a responsibility he couldn't yet reveal. He looked around the restaurant, observing everything: the entrance, seating arrangement, staff behavior, cleanliness, noise level, quietly noting it all. Not because he was picky, but because his visit wasn't casual. He was in the area to inspect hospitality venues for the upcoming FIFA World Cup 2026, and this restaurant was one of the potential partners for team accommodations and media catering. But the staff didn't know that. To them, he was just another walk-in customer. The moment he approached the podium, the waiter let out a sigh as if dealing with him required a special effort. He didn't greet him with the energy he had shown other guests. He barely looked at him. The quiet man didn't react. He simply smiled and asked for a table for one. The waiter rolled his eyes, grabbed a menu, and walked off, not even checking whether the man was following. The man didn't get upset. He had experienced this many times, being treated differently depending on what people assumed he was worth. He sat down, placed the menu aside, and continued observing silently. What he saw wasn't impressive. Staff were arguing behind the counter. Two waiters ignored customers who had been waiting to order. A couple tried to get someone's attention for water, but no one noticed. And on top of that, there was the waiter who had seated him, now mocking him under his breath with another employee, laughing about his budget traveler look. The quiet man studied all of it, not with anger but with a sense of disappointment. For a restaurant that claimed to be World Cup ready, the standards were far from what FIFA required. The waiter returned in a rush, tapped his pen impatiently, and asked, "You ready to order, or you need more time?" No greeting, no kindness, no interest, just irritation. The man placed his order gently, thanked him, and waited. When the food arrived, it was practically dropped onto the table. The plate slid slightly, a bit of sauce spilled onto the edge. The waiter didn't care. He just shrugged and walked away. The man ate quietly, appreciating the flavors but noticing the flaws. The restaurant had potential, the kind that could shine with the right training, the right leadership, and the right attitude, but what he witnessed today was the exact reason many venues lost their opportunity to be part of a global event. He finished his meal without complaint. He didn't raise his voice or demand attention. He simply observed, knowing the real conversation would come later. After he was done, he asked for the bill. Again, the waiter sighed, as if annoyed that the man had the nerve to ask. When he brought the bill, he threw it on the table lightly and said, "Whenever you're ready," before walking away without waiting for a response. The man placed his card inside the folder, and when the waiter picked it up, he glanced at the name but didn't think much of it. It wasn't until he ran the card and the system flagged the corporate account that he paused. The receipt printed with a small logo on it, FIFA Hospitality Division. He froze. He returned to the table slowly, his expression shifting from irritation to confusion. "Sir, are you, with FIFA?" he asked awkwardly. The man looked up, calmly and said, "Yes. I'm here in the region to evaluate hospitality services for the 2026 World Cup." The waiter's face drained of color. Suddenly the casual disrespect, the mocking, the careless service, it all hit him. I didn't know," he stammered. "If I had known," the man interrupted with a gentle but firm voice. "You would have treated me better." The waiter swallowed hard, unable to respond. By now, the manager had rushed over, breathless and embarrassed. He began apologizing loudly, making a show of pretending everything was under control, but the quiet man didn't respond to theatrics. He asked the manager to sit. The staff gathered at a distance, whispering, panicking, suddenly realizing who they had neglected. The man spoke softly, but every word carried weight. "I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came to evaluate whether this restaurant can host international guests during one of the most important sports events in the world. Your food has potential, but your service tells a different story." The manager nodded nervously, trying to explain, but the man continued. "The World Cup brings millions of visitors. Players, journalists, officials, families, fans from every corner of the world. They come with excitement, with expectations, and with trust. They walk into places like this wanting to feel welcome. What I saw today, he paused, letting the silence speak for him before finishing, is not what the world deserves to experience. The manager lowered his head. The waiter stood frozen, guilt spreading across his face. The quiet man continued, professionalism is not something you give only to those who look important. Respect is not reserved for those you think can give you something in return. True hospitality is treating every person with dignity, no matter how they appear. The manager apologized again, promising improvements, training, restructuring, anything the man requested. But the man didn't respond with anger. Instead, he shared something unexpected. When I started in this field, he said, I was a waiter too. I know the pressure, I know the long hours, I know the exhaustion, but even then, I learned something important. You never know who is sitting at your table. You never know how your behavior today might shape your future tomorrow. His words reached the waiter deeply. The young man finally stepped forward, voice trembling. Sir, I'm sorry, I judged you, I shouldn't have. You're right, I didn't treat you the way I should have treated any customer. The quiet man looked at him, not with anger, but with a sense of understanding. Everyone makes mistakes, he said. What matters is what you do after you realize them. The waiter nodded slowly, humbled. The man stood up, gathered his things, and prepared to leave. Before walking out the door, he turned back and said something that stayed with the team long after he was gone. If you want to be part of something global, start acting global. Excellence begins with the way you treat the person right in front of you. When he left, the entire restaurant fell into silence. The manager called an emergency staff meeting that same evening. The waiters apologized to each other, recognizing the cracks in their teamwork. Training was scheduled, standards were rewritten, service culture was rebuilt from the ground up, and the waiter who had mocked the quiet customer became the one who pushed hardest for change. Weeks later, the restaurant received another visit, this time announced. And the result was different. The service was professional, warm, and organized. The quiet man returned, observed everything once again, and when he finished his inspection, he smiled. This, he said, is what it looks like when people choose to grow. The restaurant was officially selected as one of the hospitality partners for FIFA World Cup 2026. The staff cheered. The waiter who had once rolled his eyes now shook the man's hand with genuine gratitude. And as the city prepared for the global celebration, the restaurant that had almost lost its chance became a shining example of second chances done right. In the end, the quiet man taught them a lesson far bigger than hospitality. He taught them that respect is the true language of the world, and that in a place preparing to welcome millions from across the globe, kindness is the first thing people should taste when they walk through the door.